Dhamma talk from the Buddha, April the 1st, 2021. Strong determination to follow the path of practice of the Buddha. Wat Pa Saptavi Dhammaram was built in 2004. The land was donated by Kun Adisak and Kun Warapon with the objective to build the Buddhist monastery. Longpo Gandha Sukhakamo, as the representative of the Sangha, acted as recipient of the land and has developed the property into Buddhist meditation and retreat facility, the practice of which follows the Lord Buddha's teaching. Venerable Longpo Gandha is now 71 years old and has been ordained for 51 years. Since then, he has never owned any possessions, a bank account in his own name, and only consumes 1 meal per day. He does not read the newspaper, listen to the radio, watch the TV. He does not have a cell phone, internet access, or any other social media accounts. In 1991, Longpo did not accept a title conferred by the Sangharaja, His Holiness the Supreme Patriarch, and replied in a letter that he did not wish to have any title. Longpo's disciples are spread across 30 monasteries subdivision in Thailand and abroad. Since then, Longpo became a monk. The donations made to him by his followers have exceeded 1 billion baht. But he has never given any of it to his parents, his relatives, or his friends. Instead, he gave back to society, building schools and hospitals, and by all means possible, did his best to benefit the public. The path of the Lord Buddha that Longpo has followed was that of giving and devotion, following the path of practice of Ajahn Mun, Ajahn Chah, Ajahn Mahabua, and Bhikkhu Buddhadasa. Since Nibbana is devoid of self, he practiced only relinquishing and giving, the path taught by the Lord Buddha. Therefore, Longpo is a role model of a true monk. For those bhikkhu, samanera, bhikkhuni, nuns, pasaka, pasika, please acknowledge that the only goal and objective of this monastery is to follow the path of the Buddha in order to attain Nibbana 100%. Everyone who comes here to practice must have Nibbana as focus and end goal. With that in mind, they can start to practice with the same level of understanding, the same level of commitment to observe precepts, practice meditation, and same level of wisdom. They aim for Nibbana and end with Nibbana. Everyone knows their goal and the reason for coming here. But some people have different intentions. Some people come to seek a living. Other places may not be as comfortable because the facilities here are perfect. Live well, eat well, everything is fine. So some come to live the rest of their lives here. Based on past causes, one will have different intentions. However, when you come here, whether it is a bhikkhu, a bhikkhuni, a novice, a layman, an ordinary person, or an old man, your heart must aim at Nibbana, and your behavior must be consistent with this. Here, you must always take care of your mind, because a monk must be a monk, physically and mentally, and there must be rules and manners for a monk. We are guided by Dhamma Vinaya, the doctrine and discipline, rather than our emotions, feelings, and the attachments to the self. We must not be self-centered. The Dhamma must be the focus, and the Dhamma must be the place of refuge. Many people come here to request to stay and practice Dhamma. Longpo says it depends on your own behavior. Your behavior will determine whether you can stay here. Do you follow the Dhamma Vinaya as taught by the Lord Buddha? This applies to everyone. No matter who seeks the way of Nibbana, one must be selfless. Such a person can settle down and practice the Dhamma, thereby bringing great benefits to others. Because the Dhamma is the benchmark, there should not be pride and arrogance. There is only Dhamma Vinaya and pure practices. It is not determined by who is poor and who is rich. Those who keep Dhamma Vinaya strictly inherit the Lord Buddha's spirit. This temple does not use other temples as the standard, but the Lord Buddha standard as the standard. Our practice should be based on Dhamma Vinaya, formulated during the first assembly, presided over by the Venerable Arahant Kassapa, 3 months after the Lord Buddha entered Mahaparinibbana. Strictly observe the Dhamma Vinaya. Everyone must understand this and not have any other ideas. The path of the practices of the Lord Buddha must be followed. Do not compare with this or that monastery. You do not need to compare. There is only the Lord Buddha's Dhamma Vinaya. It is sufficient to practice only in accordance with the teachings of the Lord Buddha, in the spirit of the Arahants. Only by practicing according to this standard can your practice be complete. Buddhism has a long history of evolution, and after 2,564 years after the Lord Buddha's Parinibbana, 99.9% of Buddhism has become a religious tumor. We look at Thailand or some other countries, most of which harbor sectarian tumors. In each country, the different sects are split, just like how Theravadins pride themselves as being the real deal, the only sect espousing the authentic true Dhamma. But in fact, that is not true. Disputes between the different factions lead to the emergence of this religious tumor. Theravada, Mahayana, Vajrayana, Town Monastery, Forest Monastery, Mahanikaya, Dhammayutiya Nikaya. All these are subjective conventions and labels. There is only one lineage, that of the Lord Buddha. But it has been split into many factions. No matter which faction you are in, if you really aim at Nibbana, they are the same. But that is not the case for most factions. There are a lot of problems because of the focus is not on practice, but rather on monetary benefits, which lead to the onset of tumors, such as sacrificial offerings, worships of ghosts and spirits, and so on. Some make amulets, fabric amulets, charms, and many of these things happen. These are all caused by innate kilesas or defilements. In fact, many religions have objects of worship. However, monastics should not use these as a means of earning a living. After ordaining, instead of aiming for Nibbana, some monks do all these kinds of funny things. First of all, becoming a monk is to achieve Nibbana. But after ordaining for so long, where has Nibbana gone? When the way of Nibbana does not arise in the mind, the monk will not do things in accordance to Dhamma Vinaya. They may get involved in healing strange diseases, fortune-telling, amulet blessings, warding off evil things, and so on in order to gain money. Because of inherent greed, they deceive foolish people instead of keeping the precepts and practicing Dhamma. When the way of Nibbana does not arise in the mind, many things are easy to do. In order to live a comfortable life, one makes amulets to deceive fools. We have to understand that Nibbana is not like this. Many problems related to Buddhism arise. We must know that these things have nothing to do with Buddhism. The Lord Buddha has taught this. The Lord Buddha used to follow Brahman's way of practices or Brahmanism. He was born in a Brahman royal family, so every aspect of his life was related to and performed based on Brahman's belief, whether it be his name selection, horoscope, studies, and marriage. After Siddhartha Gautama became an ascetic, he went to study under Arala Kamala and Udaka Kamala, Brahman teachers, until he achieved Samapatti 8 and then devoted to self-mortification based on Brahman teaching. However, after countless lifetimes of practice and eventual enlightenment, the Buddha attained the the perfect stage of wisdom, and taught that samapatti, self-mortification, rituals, sacrifices by animals, were not of the righteous paths. They were only the bark of a tree, but not the core that leads to nibbana. The Buddha only taught suffering, the cause of suffering, the eradication of suffering, and the way to eradicate suffering. Many people are born and have seen suffering, but they do not understand that Buddhism is of a higher level. People who use Buddhism as a tool for their livelihood have cheapened the value of Buddhism. They have no sense of shame, no shame or fear of bad karma. These people appear to have been ordained, but their mind is not that of a monk. Their minds are of a thief, hooligan, that of a hungry ghost, a devil, and a beast. It does not come from a noble cause. It has no wisdom. Indulging in drinking, gambling, irresponsibility, and laziness. When you become a monk, but do not aim at nibbana, you are still clinging to your old habits. The purpose of becoming a monk is not to earn a living from the religion. This is an improper way of earning a living. This is horrible. We cannot use this as a standard. We must strictly adhere to the Buddha's teachings and mode of practices until we are liberated. We must not take those majority of the misbehaving monk as an example to follow, even if they behave like what they do in democracy. They all only care for their own benefit, their own people's benefit. They do not follow the Dhamma Vinaya of the Lord Buddha. Their behavior is the democracy of shameless monk who transgress the canons. If there is no shame committing evil karma, this is the way of obstruction, and the way of nibbana will not arise. Take the Lord Buddha's standard as the standard. This is the standard of measurement, true measurement that can measure and tell the real monk from what is not. Luang Por did not scold the genuine monk. The word monk represents the Buddha, the stream enterer, the once returner, the non-returner, or the Arahant. Those who truly practice the Dhamma firmly and walk on the path to Nibbana are the real practitioners. Those who become monks for the purpose of Nibbana are the real monks, and they are the conquerors of desires. If you do not follow the Dhamma Vinaya, you will be merely a beggar. If you become a monk just to make a living out of begging, he has no shame and is not afraid of doing bad karma. He can be called a thief, a shameless master thief, a shaved-headed thief. We must reflect on our own minds. Are the Dhamma Vinaya completed in our minds? We must destroy the thief in the heart. Do not be unashamed of bad karma, activities of body, speech, and mind that will cause evil, that of indulgence in money, sexual misconduct, lust, wealth, fame, and status. This is not the Lord Buddha's way. This is the way of thieves, especially those who indulge in sensual pleasures. Surely the way of practicing Nibbana will not arise in the heart. The Lord Buddha clearly stated about this attachment. In parentheses, attachment to sensual indulgence is mentioned in Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, that they are high no, low or inferior, gamo, coarse or vulgar, potujaniko, common or worldly, anario, ignoble or unworthy, anatta sanito, unprofitable or useless. If you have this attachment in your heart, you have to practice hard to stay away from it. You have to know that when you get lost, you must do good to get rid of evil. Practice hard and get rid of the thief in your heart as soon as possible. Do not use religion to make a living, otherwise the evil karma created must be heavily endured in a future lifetime. The suffering from evil karma will be substantially more than the money or pleasure obtained now. If you cannot stop doing it, it is better you leave the monkhood. It is definitely not worth it. In the great hell, there is an iron rod as big as a tree trunk for hanging robes of monks who have fallen into hell. The rod is so heavy that it is bent. Those monks have to go through the immense negative fruits of the hell realm. This is because they did not pursue the way of Nibbana after they were ordained, but instead used the religion as a means of earning a living. You must understand this, and you must abide by Dhamma Vinaya. We have gone through a long time in the cyclical of existence of birth and death, so our old habits and desires are deeply ingrained in our hearts. It is very important for everyone to live in the present moment and to eliminate the past self. The future lies in the present moment. Therefore, we must rely on this life to practice until our death and bring about the death of ego, body, and craving. We must reflect on ourselves and stop committing all evil karma. Do not just abide in theory, knowing the importance of practice, but not putting it into practice. Do not be unashamed of bad karma and be afraid of doing bad karma. Our behavior must be consistent with right view. You have to maintain right view and right action. If you practice in this way, then the path to Nibbana will be reached quickly, from 7 days to 7 months, not more than 7 years. But based on our current behavior, only a few minutes later, we return back to our old habits, return to being a thief in our minds. How can we develop ourselves then? Wat Pasaptavidamaram Monastery, where Luang Po Ganha resides in, is a center that follows the path of Nibbana, one that welcomes anyone to come and practice. I hope you can practice in this way, following the path to Nibbana. If you do not practice in this way and cannot do it, then leave this place or go to other places. It is inappropriate for you to stay in the monastery like this. All those who come here to practice Buddhism are required to meet this requirement and must do so. Do not do things that hinder your practice. Do not engage one another in small groups and small circles to cause trouble. These are contrary to the principles of Dhamma. The Dhamma is the most important thing. As long as all people practice the Dhamma peacefully, then there will be no problems. We must always return to our practice of anapanasati, or mindfulness of the in-breath and the out-breath. Inhale comfortably and exhale comfortably. This is the main job of our meditation. Be happy in anything you do. Be happy in working, practicing Dhamma, and be happy at the present moment. Where will you find Nibbana? Nibbana is in the very moment. What is happening today is a test of the mind. We take Dhamma and Nibbana as our cornerstones. If these things are not tested, where does Nibbana come from? Nibbana is the goal, nothing else. We want to be grateful for everything that appears in front of us. We see the truth with vipassana insight, which is to see with wisdom. Seeing that everything is impermanent, they arise, stay, and disappear. We have to see this and realize this. This is true wisdom. The middle way taught by the Lord Buddha is not just mindfulness, but also the Noble Eightfold Path, that of right view, right resolve, right speech, right conduct, right livelihood, right effort, which leads to right mindfulness and right samadhi. Birth, aging, sickness, and death leads us to develop wisdom and achieve Nibbana. People do not understand. They do not want to grow old. They do not want to get sick. They do not want to die. We must have a clear understanding so that we can stop mental formation. Then the desire will cease and the heart will rest in the present moment. If you live in the present moment, the Dhamma can solve all kinds of problems for everyone. And everyone will realize this. Think of it this way. I am the best. I was born as a human. And the best thing is path, fruit, and Nibbana. That is the goal of our practice, to attain Nibbana in our hearts. There is nothing more important than Nibbana. It is the most noble thing. The most important about being born is to achieve Nibbana. Do not stay in a state of foolishness for a long time. It is a pity to lose this golden opportunity. Let us practice until we reach Nibbana with joy and happiness, so that we do not waste the opportunity of this precious human life. We need to know that in our countless previous lives, we have reincarnated as all kinds of sentient beings, be it as a king or as a destitute person, or in the animal realm, hell, ghost realm, heaven, and man, or in the Brahma realm. We have been repeatedly reborn like this. Then we were born here and again, and we continue to do things which do not last. You have done these things countless times. What is their significance? You need to come here to do meaningful things, and you need to stop being born and dying again. To be free from this cyclical existence, this is Nibbana. Let us use the rest of our lives to practice diligently until we truly achieve Nibbana, so that we will not waste the opportunity to be a noble person and strive entirely for Nibbana. The practice of Buddhism is to look into oneself, not others, and to be with our body and mind. Meditation is the work of mindfulness. Like a friend teaching a friend, the more you reflect, the more you understand the mind. Do so while standing, sitting, lying down. Simply focus on the mind. Be mindful and be aware of the danger. Be aware that whenever and wherever you are, whatever you do, you are just moving from one plane of existence to another. Understand its suffering, consequences. Have patience and awareness, and strive to get rid of ignorance. Then you will attain what you set your mind to. Virtuous mind will bring you strength to move forward. Meditation, concentrated mind, will lead to wisdom or panya, and vijja, genuine awareness, which can destroy suffering and bring about peace. I pray that the power of the Triple Gem and the vast parami of the Kruba Ajahns protect and liberate everyone from pain, sorrow, and all diseases and dangers. May everyone enjoy peace and attain Nibbana.